Hello everyone, this is John from Swift Sensors. In this series of videos, I'll take you through the initial setup and configuration of a new system, including a gateway, a wireless sensor, as well as configuring your thresholds, notifications, and reporting in the console. First, a brief look at the overall architecture of the system. We have over 30 different sensors that make a variety of measurements from temperature, humidity, vibration, power, door open, close, water presence, and so on. All of these sensors use Bluetooth to transmit their data to a gateway, which then takes the data and gets it on the internet, where you can configure the system using a cell phone or laptop or desktop to view your data and generate notifications when the data is out of proper operating levels. To get a better idea of the hardware, you can see that these are about the size of a matchbox, which is really, they're powered by two AAA batteries inside these enclosures, which really gives you an idea of the size. These batteries last generally between 5 and 7 years, depending on the measurement you're making and how often you're updating the data. Using Bluetooth 5, we can get about 300 feet range. And again, that varies based on obstructions. That's line of sight. But within a building setting, your range will vary based on the walls and the setup. You can connect up to 150 sensors to a single gateway. And again, depending on your setup, you can have multiple gateways to ensure a strong connection. And incidentally, the sensors are intelligent, meaning that they will always be connected to the gateway that has the strongest signal. So you don't have to configure that. They will automatically reconnect depending on as conditions change. The data then is passed to the internet, where you can use the console to configure and view the data and all of the alarms and so on. We also have an API that allows you to integrate the data into other systems. So we'll walk through the process of powering on the gateway, getting the hotspot on the gateway up and running, connecting it to the internet, and then connecting your sensors to start transmitting their data so you can use the console to configure the system. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so let's take a look at how to configure your gateway and wireless sensors. Starting with the gateway, when you take it out of the box, first thing you'll notice is when you connect the power cable, it actually is a screw terminal. This provides a very secure connection so you won't inadvertently kick the power cable out or disconnect the power from your gateway. For this example, we'll be using Wi-Fi for communication, but you'll notice we have an Ethernet connection if you're using direct wired Ethernet for your network, or also power over Ethernet is an option. As you turn on the gateway, you'll see these indicator lights give you a little information about what's happening. Right now, the white light told us it was powering up. Now yellow is trying to connect, and red tells us it does not have a connection to the internet. That's because we haven't configured this gateway yet. In order to set up your system, you start by pushing and holding this button in the center of the gateway for 2 seconds. And now it'll initiate the setup of the Wi-Fi hotspot that communicates with your sensors. As it's setting that up, I'll tell you a few more things about this gateway. First of all, the best way to install this is in an orientation that's upright. That's because there's a built-in antenna in the gateway, and this orientation delivers the strongest, best signal for communicating with your sensors. Secondly, you'll notice these tabs give you some different options for installing the gateway on the wall or against a pole. We provide a couple of screws. We strongly recommend you go ahead and install this somewhere out of the way, and also somewhere high up on the wall if possible, because the higher up, the better coverage you'll have with your communication. Okay, now you'll notice that we are set up in terms of the Wi-Fi hotspot, and our next step is to connect this gateway or bridge it to our Wi-Fi network. And we'll switch over to the phone to show you how we do that. Now that we've got the gateway powered up and in hotspot mode, we'll go to our phone settings to connect it to the Wi-Fi network. So I go to settings and select Wi-Fi. First thing we need to do is actually connect to the gateway hotspot, which is defined by the hardware ID. So you can see Swift Sensors 5XEG corresponds to this gateway. From there, I'll go to my browser and I'll enter in the setup ID for 192.168.42.1. This brings you to the setup Wi-Fi screen, where I'll now connect the gateway hotspot to our internal network here in the Swift Sensors office, which is here, the 5G network. I can enter the password, and this should connect the gateway to the network. You'll notice on your gateway that it now, as it attempts to connect to the internet, it will blink yellow and ultimately turn green once the connection is made. Okay, now that we've connected our gateway to the internet, we'll notice that the light is green. And then the only step left is when you log into your my.swiftsensors.net account, you simply add the gateway to your account. Now let's talk about our sensors and how you set those up. Got a couple of examples here. The first, this is a 105, which is commonly used with a walk-in cooler, where you install the sensor on the outside of the cooler. And the best way to install these, again, similar to the gateway, is in this upright orientation for best communication signals. And we do provide some screws, or you can use adhesive, however you want to affix it to the wall of the cooler. And that will guarantee that your radio unit inside this sensor can still communicate with your gateway. And then you feed this lead into the cooler through a port or through a hole that you can drill. And we have a whole video on how to do this, since it's such a common application, on our website. This sensor is a 101, and this is a self-contained sensor. Inside this enclosure, we have the sensor and the radio unit. And this is used for ambient temperature and humidity readings in a room of some kind, or in glass front coolers, where you can place this entire sensor inside the cooler and the signal can get through the glass to reach your gateway. The way that you operate these sensors is, you'll notice there's a power button on the front. I can push it once and you'll see that the green light blinks 6 times. That is an indicator that it's turning on. To turn off the sensor, you push and hold for about 2 seconds, and you'll notice the light shine solid, and now the sensor is off. You'll also notice that all of the information is on the back of the sensor, but we replicate the ID on the front. So when you have this installed, you can always see what is the ID of the sensor, which helps you identify it in your console. So once you've set up your gateway, simply turn on your sensors, and now they will go reach out and communicate with the gateways. And again, you can go into your account in myswiftsensors.net and add these sensors to your account, and now all of your measurements will be transferred to the gateway.